The Gilded Age, which spanned from the final 3 decades of the 19th century, was one of the most dynamic, continuous, and volatile periods in American history. It was a period of rapid economic growth, but also much social conflict. The agrarian society of small producers was transformed into an urban society dominated by industrial corporations. Louis Sullivan was an Irish Swiss-American. He's noted as the father of skyscrapers and modernism. He built the Auditorium building in Chicago, the Chicago Stock Exchange. Sullivan said, "Form ever follows function. This is the law." Frederick Law Olmsted is arguably considered the father of American landscape architecture. He is credited with designing many of America's famous urban parks. Olmsted designed Central Park in New York City, which is the largest and most important park in Manhattan. It's one of America's first parks to be developed using landscape architecture techniques. He also designed the landscape for Prospect Park in Brooklyn, New York. He also designed the master plans for the University of California, Berkeley, and Stanford University, alongside other parks and colleges. George Eastman was an American innovator and entrepreneur. He was the founder of the Eastman Kodak Company. The company is known as Kodak, which made over $2.7 billion in 2014 alone. Eastman popularized roll film, which he created and aided in bringing photography to mainstream. Eastman's new invention sparked the interest of the public. People began to steer away from Victorian theater and lean more heavily on film. Silent movies were played in theaters accompanied by live orchestras and Nickelodeon or nickel theaters. This is the first film ever made. Vaudeville was your first late-night comedy show. Comedians, dancers, musicians, acrobats, and anyone who could capture an audience and keep them interested for over 3 minutes were vaudevillians. Vaudeville was home to more than 25,000 performers and was America's most popular form of entertainment. During the Gilded Age, Americans began to have more leisure time to explore outdoor activities. People became fascinated with physical activities, and the bicycle was one of their many fascinations. Inventors were constantly improving on the original design, making the cycles safer, which increased their popularity. Bicycles became popular among women because they were socially acceptable to ride and gave them an increased sense of freedom. Although physical activities were on the rise, something greater was gaining public attention.
Take Me Out to the Ball Game, sung by Edward Meeker, Edison Record.
Baseball became extremely popular as a spectator sport. Due to Americans' increased leisure time, they were able to enjoy sports more and attend baseball games. The railroad system made it possible for baseball teams to travel more, therefore making them able to play more games. Americans were obsessed with the sport, and it became a major money machine, coining it as America's pastime.
No, I'll tell you what you can do. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd.
As people became more active and city populations began to grow, transportation became a big problem. Electric traction in the 19th century eased the transportation issue. These electric streetcars were the first line of elevated railroad systems, and they replaced the horse and cable. This transit connected urban areas of cities. After Americans mastered land, they decided to take on the sky. Wilbur and Orville Wright achieved the first powered, sustained, and controlled airplane flight, and 2 years later built and flew the first fully functional airplane. American fashion began to reflect their ambitious and imaginative ways. Women's clothing became more focused on highlighting assets. Handbags also became a popular fashion for women. Coats became popular evening wear for men, but black remained the only acceptable color for the night. Ankle boots also became popular for men to wear. Department stores like Belk, Saks Fifth Avenue, Nordstrom, and Neiman Marcus opened to cater to new customers. To sell clothes, companies had to advertise. John Wanamaker was a great advertiser for his department store. Wanamaker pushed for advertisements and even started the Macy's Day Parade. The Gilded Age is defined by an expanding economy and social standards, but the image is smeared by the growth of wealth that supported materialism.
Game, take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and